For sure.
All right. So third set of the day, we're going to be moving on to a PvZ. We've got Khrane versus Hirmu, which should be actually really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because Khrane is somebody who was B team at the beginning of the league, but moved up to A team.
Yeah.
He was definitely a strong B teamer. Like early on, I was thinking like this guy's going to be A team, or he could probably be A team right away. But he did get moved up later on, so.
Yeah, I think day one he was one of those borderlines in terms of how he signed up. So he was high B team, but with a little bit of coaching and some practice, it was pretty clear like he had to move. So he's been improving a decent amount. He's quite a strong player at this point, and Hirmu is definitely a strong player. He's been around in the scene for a decent amount of time. So this is going to be a cool one with our favorite matchup. You love PvZ, right?
Yeah, totally. PvZ's my favorite. Yeah. No. I definitely do struggle a little bit with this matchup. I mean, it's fun to play. I enjoy it, but I don't know. It frustrates me to no end sometimes too. So. Let's see. We'll jump into these games here.
Yeah, let's do it. It's always easier to watch than to play it, so you got the easy seat in the house today.
Yeah, don't have to worry about playing any PvZs anytime soon. All right.
So back to match point for game number 1.
Yes.
We're gonna have the yellow Protoss Khrane in the bottom left.
And then in the top right from Chobos with Attitude, we have our orange Zerg Hirmu. Be interesting to see what kind of wall Khrane makes. I know there's like a few different options for wall on this map because it's not quite a standard looking wall here. You got like a big area. You got that little mineral patch.
Yeah, the science of walling gets very complicated.
Yeah. For sure. I know Stereoth made like, I think him and a couple other guys worked on, making walls for PvZ.
Yep, Curiosity, Curiosity, coach of No One Care, that has a really detailed Team Liquid post with a ton of walls for the PvZ matchup for all the CPL maps. So go on Team Liquid, look for that. That's a really good resource. And just the science that goes into the walls, they are such a weird concept. Two buildings make different size gaps depending on which side they're on and everything. But it's critical in PvZ because if Zerglings can get in, that can just end the game.
Yeah, it's critical on both sides of the matchup, really, because like as it starts to transition into mid game and you get like a bunch of speed zealots, if you don't have the proper SimCity as Zerg either, those zealots are going to be able to find a lot of damage and just get good surrounds on your buildings or units.
Yep, so, absolutely. I think
in this matchup, walling is really important on both sides.
It's sort of a different stage of the game. It's 100% true. The Protoss need that early wall to keep their Nexus alive, and then the Zerg just need their mid-game wall to make sure that they can fight the army. Speed Zealots are pretty scary. So Khrane is going to be able to harass this this natural probe or natural drone here, but it's actually going to go straight past the natural. Going to pretend that he wants to scout and actually double back. I think probably maybe to the min only, but this is exactly what you want to do. There's only one probe, he can't block 2 places, so you send that second drone out, you build your hatchery somewhere else, and just make sure it's not too delayed. This is likely not going to be the biggest deal in this game, the fact that his first hatch is here, because Zergs are just planning to get 3 bases anyway. But he is doing this without a drone scout, it looked like. So, this is a little bit risky, because if there is a 1-base play out, then you're in a bad spot.
But as it is, I mean, he knows he's just seeing now that the Nexus is coming up and the pylon, so he knows, okay, this isn't a one-place play. He knows he should be fine. Interestingly enough, okay, Khrane's throwing down 2 cannons right away.
Yeah, so we saw 6 Zerglings, going for 2 cannons here, just a fine choice. Overlord's actually a little bit close, but not close enough to get killed. And this is the end wall that Khrane decided to go with, so what's your take on this as a Protoss main?
So yeah, I don't mind. This is actually really similar to the wall. I actually got this wall from, I believe, Snow I took this wall from. I was watching Snow and Best play on this map and kind of took a couple of their walls. I think the way I did it was the forge is 1 hex down, and the gateways again 1 hex down. But again, like it's essentially the same thing. It's just 1 hex higher than what I do. So I like this wall. I mean, it's tight between the forge gateway there. You do have a couple of blocks over here by the pylon, but with a zealot you can block this off, and they have to run past these 2 cannons. So those cannons are gonna, kill most of those zerglings, or all of the zerglings in this case. I like the wall.
Cool. Well, Korean programmer approved and laser sniper approved. So good job, Khrane. Yeah, it looks pretty solid. And there's 6 zerglings here that now are basically just useless. They won't be able to do any damage for quite some time. They'll at least stop zealot pressure, but they're not going to be very effective. I did notice that Khrane lost his scouting probe. He had a lapse in control there, and it got kind of cornered by a single zergling. And in this matchup, this is like such a critical matchup for scouting information. Protoss needs to know what Zerg is doing.
I don't know if you said he did actually get another probe snuck out. That's kind of weird. Like the main thing with these Zerglings, I think you want to, stop Protoss from scouting again, kind of stop this probe from getting out. And Khrane actually sent it up like he was going to go around the 3rd. And then I think he just clicked over and it went down the ramp anyway, and it took a couple hits from the Zerglings, but they were on hold position.
I did see that.
Oh man.
Yeah, in general, it's a lot harder to stop the probes from coming out when there are 2 paths out. But having your fake out go the wrong way when your probe just makes a beeline for the Zerglings is a big problem. This probe is going to see that this is actually going to be a 3-hatch Hydra build, and did he see those drones? Because that's another big tell. There's many flavors of 3-hatch Hydra, so you have to know as much information as possible. And if he saw those drones coming out, he has to know that this isn't that all-in flavor.
So he is adding, a couple of cannons now. It's a bit unfortunate that that probe got out. Hirmu certainly could have stopped it and denied the fact, and then just gone for the Hydra bust and possibly won. But Khrane does scout it, and he's throwing down 2 more cannons here and another pylon to help power a couple of those.
Yeah, and I actually wonder how much of Hirmu's decision to do this sort of, not fully committed Hydra play was resting on that probe getting out. He is still going to be aggressive with these Hydras, but he's got a decent amount of drones for this. So I don't think he's 100% committed to killing Khrane, and Khrane, having this much advance notice, should be able to defend.
Yeah, I do see Hirmu continuing to make Hydras now, though. I would have liked to see him maybe scout and see that he made these 4 cannons, and then just switched completely into drone production.
Yeah, the full fake out. That's definitely an option that you see a couple more Zergs have been going for as of late. But it looks like Hirmu is going to be fairly committed here. I'm a little surprised after seeing those 2 drones come out. But I don't know if this is going to work out. There's been so much time. Khrane's going to be able to have 5 cannons at the front right now. Looks like a 6th is going to come in, or is that a pylon? No, that is a 6th.
It's another cannon.
So Storm has to be getting close. We have a Templar Archive timing about halfway done, and this is going to be a really tough choke to push into.
He's actually going to attack the pylon here.
Oh, that actually unpowers 3 of those cannons. So that is a nice play.
He does have to, kill those other cannons before. Okay, if he can kill those cannons, then he's going to be in a good spot. With 3 unpowered cannons, this can definitely find some more damage.
Yeah, just barely going to be able to hold it, looks like. Another pylon is going to warp in, so those 3 cannons are instantly going to activate. I would like to have seen probes pulled there, maybe being able to save 1 more of those cannons. But this is going to continue to do some damage, so nice job from Hirmu to recognize that was a risk and take advantage there. But he is going to get repelled, and even though he's doing damage, Protoss makes out pretty well as long as they can defend against this.
Yeah, and I mean he's got 3 more cannons coming up, and he's even adding another one. So he's going to be in a good spot here. I don't think Hirmu's certainly not going to be able to kill him now. He did spend a lot of money on these cannons, but he's got his tech. I mean, he's got Templars coming out now.
Yeah, and once Templar are up, this is totally over. There might be a window because there's no zealots, so just pure cannon actually doesn't fare that well. I think Khrane would have to pull probes here, and here it comes. No probes are moving at all. Hirmu is actually just going to take some shots and back off. I think you know, if he had persisted with the Hydra building, it looks like he might have switched into drones. He probably could have taken that, but a little bit of hesitation, and now that he's transitioning, Khrane is going to be safe. The Corsair is out. Looks like it doesn't have any kills yet. Does have +1 air attacks, so I would expect to see more Corsairs being made, and yeah, that is the case. And Templar are out, so we have stabilized at the moment. We're going into a mid-game here. Hirmu doesn't have a ton of drones. He's trying to fix that now, and he is going to go straight into a 4th base.
The knife's edge that is 3-hatch Hydra and PVZ here. That's kind of what we got. I don't know if you noticed too, like +1 just finished on the Forge. He actually, it wasn't powered for the longest time because of that lost cannon, or last pylon, sorry. So that's a little bit behind, but it's not like he has any zealots to do anything with at the moment anyway.
Yeah, and I guess a nice feature of this wall is there really wasn't a good opportunity to snipe that Forge. You know, Hirmu would have already had to basically have busted the natural with all of these cannons before that Forge was vulnerable. So that's kind of nice because losing that +1 really changes your power into the mid game.
For sure. We are seeing a bunch of gateways now coming down for Khrane, so he's going to be able to start powering up on his 2 base, get a big army. I'm not sure I like the position of his gateways here. Like, it's not the biggest deal in the world, I'd say, necessarily, but I'd like to see them closer to the natural, just like a shorter rally, especially like when you're pushing out and like say with your +2 attack, when you get your Dragoon mass and everything, having the quicker rally with the speed zealots can make or break your attack too. Like, Zerg is just trying so hard to defend, and as Protoss, you don't want to lose your big ball of army. Once that happens, Zerg kind of gains map control. So just having like the gateways closer just gets his units rallied in just that much faster and could make or break decisions. And it's not the end of the world, but I mean, it's a little bit better, I would say, just to have them closer.
No, those little things. I mean, if they cost nothing to do and they give you an advantage, then you should do them because they do add
Exactly.
up. We have a push out, it looks like, from Khrane, and he has to be a little careful. He actually lost 1 Templar there. This is just a Templar push. There's 3 zealots.
It's like more Templar than fighting units.
But I think the objective really was to get this DT out, and I like getting a DT and trying to get it active here because you know with a 3-hatch Hydra that lair has been delayed. You can see this Overlord has no speed. If you can catch an unaware base, which it looks like Hirmu has a decent Overlord spread, so that's not going to be the case. But I like the thought, it doesn't cost much, you can get a lot of value out of this DT.
I'm not sure if Hirmu's aware that it's on the map. He did have an Overlord there. If he was paying attention and saw it, then he knows it's coming somewhere. But I mean, okay, it looks like this DT is actually just going to go down without doing any damage anyway, just because of that one Overlord and few Hydras. So
yeah, so
good defense.
Yeah, great setup for Hirmu to make sure that this base, even though it was a early 4th, just has a little bit of anti-DT defense. And Khrane is positioning now, looks like, to take his 3rd base. So solid play out from him. He's got a ton of gates. His money's floating a little bit. He needs to start working on getting that down. But this is a scary timing for the Zerg player, because this is where Protoss has a lot of storms built up. Doesn't look like he's going to have a +2 in time. +2 just starting, so that's a little bit late. But Hirmu opted for those 4 bases. He's got a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, part of that +2 being late is going back to his Forge being unpowered for so long. But he's still going to have a really strong army. I mean, he's got his Dragoon mass coming out. He's got some Zealots. He's got his Templar. He's continuing to rally out some additional units. We're actually seeing a Muta switch now coming out of Hirmu. Interesting choice.
That's a decent move. There's still a lot of goons, actually. Khrane has switched into goon production fairly early here. But Hirmu's been doing a decent job of sniping Templars. And he may actually get a bunch more here, depending on control. Wow, really good first storm. Actually going to hit a lot of his zealots, but killing a lot of Muta's help there.
He is forcing out a couple of these storms. He did pick off 1 Templar, but is it going to be enough?
Yeah, there's only 1 lurker along with this, but a lot of the zealots have gone down. So I think this is a decent enough position for Zerg once reinforcements come, but he's taken quite a few losses. All of his Mutas are going down to storm.
Yeah. He lost all his Mutas for like 2 Templars and 2 Storms from those Templars or something. Not the best trade there for him, but it looks like he's probably going to have enough to push this back with reinforcements.
Yeah,
Good
now they're... they're in that pure reinforcement battle. Goons do fairly well versus, you know, smaller numbers of Zerg units, so this fight is going okay for Khrane. But he is starting to lose his goons, and that takes a while to rebuild. So I think he should have pulled back and just let these reinforcements join up before continuing the fight. Still going decently for him though. He's kind of got a good foothold in this position, and Hirmu's just desperately trying to rally more units here.
Surprisingly, he's making just Hydras here. When he saw it was just basically all Dragoons left, Zerglings can kind of shred through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they build faster as well, so I mean, it could have helped in the fight a little bit sooner, but either way, I think he's going to be able to hold off this Protoss attack.
Yeah, we actually have some miscontrol out from Khrane. He's got a couple units stranded here, a couple units ran past to the fourth base, where they could actually do some damage if he can get a hold of them. But he had goons just split off fighting reinforcements and lost a bunch of them. So, all in all, I think that fight still went in Khrane's favor, but he needs to be a little careful here that he has a good plan to transition out of this, because once Zerg gets into that hive tech and gets these 4 bases really solid, the game changes completely.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and this is where I start to struggle in this matchup the most, I think, is if I don't do enough damage with my 2-0, my Dragoon mass attack, I don't really know like where my transition or how to really play the game from there. Per se, like I have a hard time, I guess, against hive tech Zergs.
Yeah, the difference between Lair and hive tech Zerg is night and day. Khrane is going to try to just bypass this lurker field, it looks like, which might be really effective. No move from Hirmu to actually move those guys. He has 1 lurker and 1 other lurker murphing, but he does have observers here, so this isn't very scary for a Protoss army.
I mean, I like that he's continuing up this pressure here in aggression, and like looking for like holes in the Zerg's defense, places there he can attack into.
Yeah, this attack is really strong.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually going to be able to take this base out here, and then he's going to be going up to 4 bases himself.
Yeah, so
and if he does,
expanding behind this is such a critical move as a Protoss player. You know, you're spending a lot of actions being aggressive, you're really focusing on the fights, but all you need to do is just start those Nexus, because it's really hard for the Zerg to commit units to shut that down. You know, a good Zerg will have Zerglings running around trying to find those things, but if they're feeling the pressure, like you know, Khrane's been putting on a ton, they don't have time to shut that down. That's just a free base. So if he can get away with that, it's going to be 4 base to 4 base at about the same time now that they shut this one down, which is a great spot as a Protoss player.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he took out the base. He did lose a lot of his army for that, but he's managed to macro up behind this. He's got, you know, a decent army chunk here again, and he's getting his 4th base up and running. There are some Zerglings coming across, but Khrane's army is actually heading up there to intercept this, so I don't think he's going to be able to deny this base at all.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
Good moves by Khrane.
Great awareness. You know, he saw those just barely with his Corsairs. It looks like Hirmu is going to try to snipe some probes, but there's nothing that this small amount of Zerglings can do. Khrane may have also seen this drone coming up to the 12 o'clock, but it looks like he's just planning to maybe secure the 6. He's got a handful of units there. And if this becomes a split map situation, that's very hard for Zerg to win. Zerg, if we're getting into that super late game, he really needs 12 and 6. And if Khrane can secure either one of those, then he's in a great spot.
Yeah, certainly. Like super late game, Protoss can trade really efficiently. Once you start getting Reavers out and Storms, Archons and everything, those really high tech units for Protoss, it's hard for the Zerg to break these positions, like the tight chokes there. So if Khrane can set up a good position there, he's going to be in a good spot, I think.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have another fight on this plateau over by Hirmu's 4th base. This time, Khrane is actually committing, and there's a decent amount of lurkers here, a lot of Zerglings, and not a ton of Storm at the start. They're all kind of like lagging in the back.
Yeah, I was going to say, he didn't have any Templar there right away. He's kind of pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, so just pulling some Zerglings and trading with them is a decent move, but you're this close to Zerg production, you have to be very cautious here. This can go very badly for you. And there's going to be a Goon Zergling fight at the 6. Both players just keeping pretty active and getting good scouting in. The Corsair count has been dwindled. Looks like Hirmu made enough Scourge and managed to pick off a couple, so it looks like there's only 1 left. And it's really just a glorified scout at this point.
For sure. But it's good, like, that he's still using it to scout around and stuff. Like, I like that.
Yeah, and
you
sending
always
a
kind of want to
zealot.
be on top of where everyone's units are and what they're doing.
So Khrane sending his zealot to the 12 o'clock, sees that base, immediately sends his army, but actually doesn't send all of it. I really like that. You don't want to pull back your entire army because then you open yourself to counterattacks. So just took position onto this bridge and able to see if units are coming down the main stretch here. Actually bringing the zealots back, I think that might be a mistake.
Probably
So
just
sending,
in a control group and he's just moving his.
yeah, they just keep going back and
I know
forth.
the view. Yeah. It's like, no, go attack it.
Yep, that is that's brood work. But they are going to get onto this base, and you know, Hirmu's got a kind of a tough decision here. Like, how much do you send to try to save this when you have this much Protoss army barreling down to your high ground? Defilers are out. Is Consume finished? Does he have enough for Swarm? Doesn't look like it just yet. But the Defiler is a total game changer here.
Yeah, a nice plague on all those Zealots and Dragoons could really soften them up as well.
Yeah, so we're going to have a big fight. It's really going to come down to Storms and Dark Swarms. We just got Consumed. We need some Dark Swarms on top of the Lurkers. First one does go down, so now those Zealots are really the only things that can fight it. Great
nice.
Storm! Oh, that kills the Defiler as well. Gonna Storm Zone High Templar, but that is fine because that was a lot of Zerglings. And this is a pretty good fight from Khrane with some really, really strong Storms.
Yeah, this is. I mean, he only has Dragoons left, and that Swarm's going to protect those Lurkers. Only got one Zealot there. But he broke this position more or less for Zerg. Oh no!
Yep, just getting a little sloppy with his Templar. So, you know, that's kind of evening things out in terms of that local fight. But you know, the base count has been even for a good amount of time. Khrane managed to shut down 12, and even though Hirmu's on Hive Tech, he's on a clock. He needs to get something done. Now that Dark Swarm is out, we can maybe see him start being much more aggressive with some Zergling Defiler attacks. But Khrane is poised to start taking a 5th base.
Yeah, like he's still sitting with this map control here. I'd like to see some more Archons in this army. He's still on Dragoon Zealot, and now that he knows, you know, Defilers are out, he shouldn't be really making that many more Dragoons. He should be focusing more on Zealot Templar, getting some Archons mixed in.
Look at this. This is like four goons versus like 4 Zerglings, and they lose the fight. Like, that just is no longer cost effective. And you do want a backbone of them, like keep them alive as much as possible. But like you said, you got to transition out of it at this point.
Defilers are out.
Yeah, still persisting up to this high ground. There's more Lurkers here. There's not as much Storm out for Khrane, although the 2 Storms he did draw down were quite good. But I think this is a mistake, and this is going to give Hirmu some breathing room.
Yeah, he's losing his army here. He does pull back now. But,
yeah, he's not going to lose everything, but that was not a very effective trade in my mind. And while this is happening, you know, Hirmu is trying to take that 6 o'clock. So the fact that he's trading army means that he's going to have less to really pressure that position.
Oh, Khrane throwing away a few Zealots there for free.
Yeah, control of this mass PvZ situation is always tough. But this is buying enough time for Hirmu to get some units down here. I'd love to see some Lurkers, catching some units out of position. But really need Lurkers, because once Lurkers are in this choke, it's very hard to get units into that cornered ramp. Hirmu's really got to move quickly here, because if Khrane can establish that position, that base will die, and he really needs that to go up.
Yeah. This is going to be an important moment here. Like, if Zerg can secure this base and get it up and running, then he's going to be in a much better spot. But if Khrane is able to deny it, I think Khrane is just going to be able to take this game. Because they've been on 4 versus 4 base for so long.
Yeah, it looks like Hirmu will be able to hold. Reinforcements coming, but it's mostly Zealots, and there is at least 1 Lurker in play. And I think Khrane's macro really is just slipping at this point. He's going up to almost 3k minerals. And this is kind of a bad move to actually morph these Lurkers right here. With this many Storms as well, then 1 Storm can basically take these out with a couple of Zealot hits. So that is not very cost effective. And, you know, I'd be surprised if Hirmu does lose this just based on the amount that he's been macroing, but it's very possible now that Khrane's pushed himself to this position.
And, I mean, yeah, it looks like Hirmu is going to lose space. And Khrane's still, you know, got vision up here. He knows, like, he's not taking the top base either. And the longer it goes like this, the better it's looking for Khrane. I mean, he's got a big bank. If he spent all that, well, it's mostly minerals, I guess. But if he spent that, he could have a bigger army. He could be maxed, and I don't think there's much Zerg would have be able to do.
I'm really surprised that Hirmu gave that up. I mean, I think he had enough at and around his rally. He's got a ton down at his 4th base. I think he could have stopped that army and saved that base, which would have been enormous. But he gives it up, and Khrane is just gonna get farther and farther ahead.
We do finally see the first Archon of the game. I don't know if it...
Oh, and an observer snipe as well. I don't know how many observers are left around here. I see one.
I don't know. There's a zealot drop in the main as well.
Oh, and a Templar drop at the natural, going to kill a couple of drones. So players are being very active right now.
Khrane putting to good use his 250 ABM here. Attacking multiple locations, harassing. Kind of the moves you need to make in this matchup.
Yep, and we do see that transition into that Reaver and Archon army, which just becomes completely unstoppable at some point. So he's been doing such a good job of shutting those bases down. You know, I'm really surprised he got 6, but that's such a big win. And now with this army comp changing, Hirmu's going to have a really tough time getting back into this game.
Yeah, I'd definitely say his army composition change was late as the Protoss, but I mean, Hirmu wasn't able to take advantage of it, so he kind of got away with it. Now that he's getting Archon and Reavers in here, it's going to be really tough for Hirmu.
Yeah, and actually that shuttle flying really far forward. If there were some Scourge around, they might have been able to snipe that. And losing a shuttle full of Reavers would be a pretty big deal. 2 shuttles now. I think some of them might have Templar. Here come the Scourge. And actually, they're just going to bug out and hang out. So the shuttle is going to survive. Lots of storms, lots of Reaver shots going down, doing a ton of damage. But all the Zealots have pretty much gone down, and a nice plague coming down in the army as well. Reaver's getting targeted, so really good hold from Hirmu. Actually going to shut down that new army comp pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, Khrane has a bunch of units just sitting out between his natural and his 3rd here. He really needed to have those in that fight. I think it would have gone a lot better for him if he did. Because like we saw, he had a max supply army. He was maxed. But he had so many units here that he wasn't able to do anything with them. If they were in that fight, he would have taken it for sure, I think.
I just saw 2 dead lurkers in the upper left as well, which is kind of strange. You know, if you can get a lurker under swarm or something, maybe, but you know there's going to be cannons at least. So now Khrane is going to try to take 6 o'clock, and Hirmu's going to be the one to attempt to stop it. A lot of units coming down from Khrane to defend against this, and a couple of really well-placed storms is going to shut down this initial force. There's still a ton out from Hirmu. He really just needs to get all of these units together and mount this attack, but if Khrane can get this base, then it's basically game over.
Yeah, well, if he can't, it's also basically game over, because like right now he's almost out of minerals. His only mining base at the moment is like 1,000 minerals maybe in it.
Oh, we have mutas again as well.
Oh, interesting.
But they're actually taking Archon hits, trying to go for those snipes. Not enough mutas to fully kill a Templar, forcing the storms out and killing one of them, but they've taken so much damage, they're basically useless now. Not the best trade.
Yeah, I think that was better for Khrane. No. Is he going to get that other Templar? No, he doesn't.
He really wants it, but nope, it is going to survive. I think it barely has enough energy for Storm as well, so that's really unfortunate. A lot of Zealots now coming out for Khrane. He's spending that mineral bank he had, and not a lot of Lurkers left for Hirmu, so they're actually being pretty effective versus the Cracklings.
We got a bunch of probes just moving across the map now to go mine.
Oh, yep. Big cross-map Maynard. So that base is just going to kick in real hard. And, you know, Khrane really has been doing a good job of, you know, offense is the best defense here. But I think right now he really needs to pull back. There's the plague. He just needs to make sure that 6 o'clock base gets mining. And losing army here is not the way you do that.
Yeah, I mean, Hirmu's about to mine out too. He does have a few minerals in his main. He actually has one patch that's got like 1,300 minerals, almost the starting amount of minerals.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know this happens. Every single one of these buildings was a drone, and so he didn't have full saturation in the main for the whole game, most likely.
Yeah. But, I mean, other than that, he's about to mine out too, and he doesn't have another base. If he can't secure another base, it's just going to be, you know, Khrane's gonna take it because he's got this bottom base mining now.
But Khrane's army is up at the 12 o'clock, and he's left the bottom completely undefended, essentially. You know, one swarm and some Zerglings are going to take this out, and that's just probes coming down. That's all of Khrane's probes.
Okay, we got the swarm up.
Oh, but the body block.
Oh, what a game.
What a game.
Another swarm over those. He's just actually going to pick the Nexus, actually. I like that.
Yeah, and there's nothing that Khrane can do against this. All he needed was like three Zealots here. The Reavers are going to come down and clean it up, but the Nexus is already down, so he will be able to save the probes at least, but now his mining is completely shot. He's long distance mining for a while here.
He does have a few minerals at his natural. He could send a few probes to mine that too, but...
Yeah, that was a great move. I think it might be too little too late, because as you say, Hirmu is basically mined out himself. He's got some minerals at his main, but he's just mined out at his fourth, and that's it. He's got one more force with one defiler, and he's got to make it count.
He's got to either kill the Brodos off or secure a base himself.
Yeah, one of the problems is versus a Reaver, you're going to take heavy losses. You need to make sure that that engagement goes super well, and in this choke situation, that's going to be hard to do. We'd really have to just drop on top of this. He doesn't even have the money to make the hatchery somewhere else, so this is going to be really tough for him.
Gonna get a plague off on this army.
That's a good plague. I don't know if I would want to trade the defiler for it. That's his only defiler, I think.
He can make another.
Dark Swarm's too important at this point.
Okay.
This is tough. Yeah. This is a really rough spot because you know, he has to do something about this base. Yeah, he has to do something about this army and something about this base, and he can't really do both. Little things like plagues are good ways to get ahead, but you know, you need the defiler to be able to bust this. I really think just like a defiler and drop right on top of that Reaver is sort of the play here. But it looks like Khrane isn't going to give him the breathing room. Just going to try to push in, and I think he might have enough, especially if these storms land.
Yeah, I mean, if he kills this army,
nope. Those storms do not land. So actually, Hirmu has some breathing room. He needs to take out this 6 o'clock right now, and a Dark Swarm would be really helpful there. But unfortunately, I don't see the defiler. He's got a bunch of units under these Overlords too that need to come over, but I think they're lost. 3 defilers being made at once, but they're not going to be there in time.
Yeah, if he can take out this base, I mean...
Oh wow, the shuttle barely gets the 2 Reavers down.
Oh man, such a... Oh, he's losing all these probes now.
Yeah, I don't think losing those probes is the biggest deal. He needs to just keep the base. And with these 2 Reavers, yeah, the Zerg needs to just pounce on these Reavers. They're getting a couple of Reaver shots out.
They're killing
Plague first is good, but not when you're already in range. You need to just attack it.
He does kill the Reavers.
Barely kills it. Gonna take a few too many hits. And Khrane GG's. Wow.
Whoa.
That game was actually not over.
Yeah.
Hirmu was so broke, that game was not over.
That's literally all Hirmu had. Well, he has a few units. Oh, I kind of want to go back a little bit, see what he had, but I mean, Hirmu has 1,200 minerals in his main. That one mineral patch, getting 8 at a time. Wow. I don't know if he would have been able to secure a base, and Khrane definitely has the money to build some army. Like,
yeah,
he could build
I think that Khrane was in a bad spot at that point, especially since he lost so many probes. But he does have some minerals. I don't know exactly what he had at the choke, and Hirmu's not in a good spot himself. So there's no way that game was completely over. I think it did just flip from being Khrane's game to being a game again. But I think that was slightly premature.
For sure. Like, it's such a tough spot. I mean, he's like, oh, I just lost my last base.
Yeah, it feels like a losing situation. You're like, well,
yeah, but
I can't mine. It's over. But if your opponent's not mining either, you got to take a second.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely I think a little bit of an early GG. He definitely could have won that one still, but at the end score has Khrane ahead. So
yeah, what a game. And that's game 1. So we knew it was going to be a good series. That's crazy. Both players seem pretty even, to be honest.
Yeah. Khrane showing that he definitely does belong on the A team, so.
Yeah, like that's remarkable. You know, definitely was a strong B teamer, but that is a lot of improvement.
For sure. great game from both players. We'll see if Khrane can bring it up here and get a game 3 going for us.
I would love to see a game 3 between these guys.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
All right.
Jump into here on Circuit Breakers.
Yeah, and we haven't even seen the third map at all. All the other series have been 2-0.
That's true.
Okay,
Alright,
so game number 2. Khrane is actually down a game despite being in a pretty commanding position all of game 1. Going to be spawning down here on the bottom right position as the orange Protoss.
Yeah, I thought he was going to actually win that one, but here in the bottom left, up a crazy game there, we have our yellow Zerg from Chobos with Attitude, Hirmu.
Yeah, so these positions are, I guess, slightly awkward on Circuit Breaker. It kind of, this map splits, you know, either direction, but this way I feel like there's more paths for Protoss to go in, and
yeah.
It's harder to defend everything as a Zerg.
For sure. As a Protoss player myself, playing as Zerg, I like these spawns best, either both on the top or both on the bottom, just because it gives me the option to kind of attack downwards and towards the Zerg, and I can also expand toward the Zerg while attacking and defending. At the same time, kind of like how in Terran versus Protoss, Terran you kind of want to expand behind your attack so you can defend it while you're attacking.
Right, and that's the principle Khrane used really well game 1. Even though he didn't really have the position to make sure his army was in the way, he was using his attacks to expand behind pretty well. There's a lot more bases on this map, so if it goes sort of the similar way, I expect Khrane to just take it, because you know, that last game, once you get up to 4 bases, it gets really tough to take that 5th, and there's that mine out situation that we ended up with. But if the same pace of the game happens here in game 2, you know, Khrane could have half the map while Hirmu's still on 4 bases, so that's a big difference.
Sure. We'll have to see what the players are going to do here. Looks like Hirmu did go for an overpool, and Khrane's gonna scout this, be able to block the drone again, like saw last game.
Yep, and Hirmu tried to hide it. He sent his drone over here to the right so he could get it out, and actually gonna sneak it in. Just no! Barely gets the block. So that's such a cool little move, and that is actually gonna factor into this pretty heavily. Hirmu's forced to take this mineral only as his first hatchery, and that's an awkward spot. You know, you're going towards the Protoss. You haven't scouted Protoss yet. It's just very uncomfortable, and it's a little later than you want it to be. So, nice kind of similar openings, and Khrane just taking a slight advantages where you can get him.
Yeah.
Oh, losing the probe though. Really good catch out from Hirmu. Gets all 4 Zerglings on it. So first probe goes down quite early, which is going to play into this pretty heavily.
Well, we'll have to see if Hirmu opts to go for like a 3-hatch Hydra kind of build that he did before, if he's going to go for more of a standard, you know, 3-hatch Spire kind of build.
Yeah, and actually catching out this other probe, hasn't killed it quite yet, but it gets the surround, so 2 probes down, and Khrane is playing effectively in the dark. You know, he knew those 6 Zerglings were made, and at this point he doesn't know if Hirmu's doing something completely crazy, or if it's still standard, or if it's 5-hatch before gas. I mean, there's so many options Zerg has. I would expect to see him try to get another probe out.
Yeah. So this game too, we do see that he made just 1 cannon instead of 2 against the overpool with 6 lings. So a little adjustment from both players here. I mean, Hirmu got that second probe, or got that probe out. And Khrane is defending with 1 cannon instead of 2. Okay, he has
spoke a little too early. Now this is actually, know where he is, but this is a weird move. So he had the probes blocking, which is what you need to do when you're blind. You know there's already 6 lings. There could be a lot more. You know, Hirmu could have just made nothing but lings after he killed that probe. You have no idea. You really want to keep this blocked at least until that second cannon is up. Yeah, because sure. this is super risky. Even these 6 Zerglings could do a ton of damage before that's warped in.
Yeah, if he's planning to block, there's no point in moving it if you're making that second cannon beforehand. Because if there was a bunch of Zerglings and you move them, you just gave the Zerg the chance that he needed to run in, right? But as we can see, I mean, Hirmu didn't notice that, or didn't really have the link count to just go ahead and kill Khrane with it. So he's gonna be fine. We're gonna.
It works out. But you know, mistakes are still mistakes, even if they're not punished. And I think if you're that blind, you really can't pull those probes. It's easy wins for Zergs that want to go aggressive.
But we do see Khrane manage to get another probe out. It's just kind of sitting. Okay, he's moving it now, but he did get another probe, so he's going to be able to scout what Hirmu's up to.
Yeah, so that's a great move. He knows the importance of the scouting clearly. This is going to be the third probe now, so there aren't enough Zerglings, unfortunately, to stop this for Hirmu. He's got them all sort of at the front, but having it snuck out means that he should be able to get the full scout. And I think he'll be happy to see that it is like a lair spire build. So that's sort of more standard. Looked like Hirmu was poking in for something.
Okay.
I guess he was going to see if he could get a run by, but with 2 cannons, there's really not an option.
Yeah, so, I mean, Probe sees there's nothing fishy going on, everything's standard. He sees the lair, he sees the spire coming up. It's like, okay, he knows. We'll have to see what Khrane goes for now. If he wants to go for the a bunch of Sayers with the +1 air, or if he's just going to... Doesn't look like he's getting +1 air. I would have expected to see it started by now.
Yeah, this is pretty late to be starting that. I mean, he might transition into it, but you really want it early, because once there's a Hydra mass, your Corsairs aren't that useful. So we do have more hatches coming down from Hirmu, and it looks like he's adding in a couple of colonies as well, so he's going to try to be prepared for a Zealot attack, which is on the way. He kind of missed this, it looks like. So these Zealots are going to be in his face, and he's got Zerglings out on the map. They are Speedlings, so they'll be able to return. But this is kind of an awkward spot, he might take some damage here.
Yeah, Sunken does finish up. He's doing a little bit of blocking with the drones, so he might lose a couple of drones, but I don't think he's going to take too much. Oh, but okay. He almost gets those Zealots behind the minerals.
That would have been much better in terms of trading. Getting it now, so now a single Zergling can fight. So this is going to be very efficient trading for him, but they were already a little too hurt. If he had ran straight there, I think it would have worked out a lot better.
Yeah, so he lost those Zealots. I don't think he really did enough with those Zealots. Warned it. I mean, it would have been better to almost have those with your +1 speed Zealot attack at this point.
Yeah, I agree. He may have forced some Zerglings out, and he killed, I think, 1 drone, which really isn't good enough. Because as you say, now his timing, which is going to coincide with his speed upgrade and his +1, is just not even going to be an option. If he sends those Zealots out, they're going to be completely ineffective. So it wasn't a great trade. Maybe if he got behind the minerals and was a little more efficient, it could have been okay. But as it is, Hirmu is going to get slightly more ahead compared to game number 1, just in choice of openings here.
For sure. He is... It looks like he did get 1 Overlord with his first Corsair. He's just continuing to harass, but I don't... Yeah, there is a couple of Scourge coming now.
I haven't seen any Scourge. I think these are the first ones. Yeah. So it's possible that he didn't know it was Stargate. I wasn't paying as much attention to his Overlord this game. But he may have just assumed it wasn't Stargate since it did come a little bit slower, and opted to skip the Scourge. But really, I don't think that's a good call, because at least 1 pair should be made just for scouting purposes.
Yeah, you can float it around the Protoss base, see what's going on. Now it looks like he's made quite a few. He's got 4 sets of Scourge just sitting around. I don't know if that's too many or if that's a good number. I'm not really certain.
It's a little too many in my opinion. I mean, it can work out. Like if every one of those pairs of Scourge kill a Corsair, then obviously that's good. But you kind of have to. It delays some of your upgrades and your Hydra mass because it is a decent amount of gas. It's not like Scourge are free. So at this point in the game, when Corsairs are enough to actually take out Scourge, I don't know if it's really the best choice. Another DT, single DT coming out. It's going to be pretty ineffective here with the Overlord and Sunken, but it might kill a couple of drones.
Hydra's popping up just as the DT gets there too.
Wow, I actually got 3 drones, so that's way more effective than it had any right to be. But still not game changing. So we are up to 6 hatches. We're at a really good drone saturation, especially when you compare it to game number 1, where Hirmu went for the Hydra bust. And Khrane actually doesn't have, looks like he doesn't have any designs to go take a 3rd yet. So this is going to shape up to a very different mid game.
Looks like he's maybe just going to go for that, +2 Dragoon mass bust. Like his +2 is definitely going to be done way earlier than it was last game. Like it's already halfway done. He didn't have it delayed this time. So I expect this attack to be pretty strong. One thing I am worried about, though, is I don't see a robo started for him yet. I mean, Dragoon range is half done, and he still doesn't have robotics or observatory coming up, so I think that's a bit late. Ideally, you want to like move out with an ob, because by the time you get out, the Zerg could have lurkers with this.
Yeah, lurkers are a very likely possibility, I would say. Hirmu's also doing a great job actually sniping some of these Corsair, and Khrane's trying to be as active as possible, but he's down to 3 Corsair. One of them has like 1 health. And it looks like he will try to take his mineral only as a third here and push out, but you know, compared to game 1, Hirmu's going to be pretty well prepared for this. He doesn't yet have lurkers, which as you say would be really useful versus no ops, but I think just the pure Hydra mass, unless these storms are absolutely money, Hirmu's got plenty to defend against this.
Okay, there actually is a robo facility hidden here in the corner of the Protoss base.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
hard to see in the replay overlay.
Not the best positioning. Usually, like, it's good to try and build it close to your natural or ramp, so in the late game you can like get those Reavers out quicker and use them to help defend. But it's not the end of the world. He doesn't have any observatory started yet, though.
Yeah, so we actually have a really big fight coming into the middle of the map here. Storms are decent, and the Hydras are all going to go down, so Khrane is going to take this fight pretty handily, but you know, it's not the biggest deal for the Zerg to lose a fight on the Protoss side of the map. He hasn't taken any damage as a result. I guess he lost some Overlords. Obviously winning is better, but this isn't going to snowball at all. I don't think Khrane can actually push across this ramp, and if he tries to get either through these double bridges or down this ramp, he is probably going to get smacked. I don't think he has too many storms left either.
Yeah, it looks like he's got 2, 3 storms, almost 3. So if he lands some money storms, I mean, he can definitely do some damage with this.
Oh, Hirmu baiting out the storm. That's a really nice move. Pulling the drones actually, as well.
Yeah, it might be a little early on the drone pull.
I think he was just worried about a storm hitting the mineral line,
yeah,
which is certainly a risk. So at this point, there's not a lot of storms at all, and there's a flank coming in from Hirmu, so really good unit control. Baited a third storm out, actually kills a Templar with his own storm, and now Hirmu's free to just absolutely demolish this army. Another storm goes down, but that's dodged pretty well, so really good control in this fight.
No storms left.
Yeah, no storms left, almost pure goon. And
Zerg has this high ground here.
This is over for Khrane here. He's got to pull back. Now he did decent damage in the sense that he stopped the mining at this base, but he didn't get any drone kills. And it looks like Hirmu is going to be able to take his own 4th base over here at the gas 9 o'clock. And at this point, Khrane has to defend. He just lost a big chunk of his army. He did essentially no econ damage. You know, stopping mining is worth something, but it's not the same as killing drones. Being as active as he can with these Corsair, but that's not going to be enough to deter Zerg. And actually going to do another attack down here at the bottom, sniping a Templar right off the bat.
Yeah, and I mean, Khrane does have this 3rd base up and running now, but critically it's not a gas base either. So he's still on 2 gases. He's going to be able to produce Zealots, but he's not going to be able to produce any extra Templars out of this or a huge amount of Dragoons. He does have 2 Templars. They each have 1 storm. But, I mean, if Hirmu was continually producing Hydralisks here, I think he could just, you know, kind of flank this position and take out the 3rd.
Yeah, they actually just ran down the ramp too. So these Templar are completely out of position. Luckily for him, Hirmu actually pulled back. So there was nothing there to snipe those, but that is really scary to see. And it looks like Khrane is going to prepare an attack, but you know, after losing that first fight, you kind of have to play on the back foot a little bit, and being aggressive here could be really risky. There's a lot of Zealots and no Lurkers. Lurkers just morphing now, so it's possible to do some damage here. But this is kind of a scary move.
I do like what he's doing, taking this Nexus behind the attack, though, if he is going to commit to this. Like, this is kind of what I was saying earlier at the beginning of the game. Kind of
money storms.
Oh, okay.
He needs to follow up. Yeah, he's got to kill those Lurkers. So that is actually really big. Ooh, spot a lag there.
He's going to hit the other ones, yeah.
Yeah,
Very nice
so
storm.
that was really nice. But the lurkers actually finished morphing. Gonna double stack on top. They just had to quickly burrow. So that's another potentially big storm. But the obs I don't think can see that position right now, so he doesn't know where those are.
This is looking really good here for Khrane, actually.
It is looking like a decent fight.
A lot of that army.
Yeah, those first storms were really big. But he's so close to Zerg's production, and he hasn't slowed it down that he has to be careful this doesn't get overrun. Hirmu's kind of fighting with half his army at the moment.
Yeah, he's also reinforcing with Dragoons. Normally you should be setting more Zealots, but he's got a lot of gateways producing right now.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to the rally game and storms.
A couple of good storms here would... Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that second one was decent, killing a lurker and a bunch of Hydras, so he is going to be able to keep doing damage here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to break this position, I think.
I mean, he's killed one hatchery, he's doing a lot of damage to the other two, but when only Zergling come out, they're going to absolutely demolish these goons. He needs to get these reinforcements here ASAP, and again, it's mostly goons, so if a flank of Zerglings surround this, there's not going to be much that he can do. Storms aren't going to save him.
It looks like Hirmu's actually building mostly Hydras again, too, though.
Yeah, Hydra reinforcement is not the best choice here, I don't think. Couple of whiff storms now, but there's still enough of a goon backbone that they're just constantly doing damage, constantly getting efficient trade here.
He's actually going to lose this base. And all of a sudden, Khrane's like in a really strong position again. He's on, well, he's taking his fourth. He's basically on 4 base to 3 base here. Or he's going to be on 4 base to 3 base. And he's got a couple of Zealots actually harassing this base too.
Yeah, there's actually 4 lurkers up here. So this is his most defended base at the moment. And there's the GG, wow.
Okay. Well
So,
played.
yeah, pretty cut and dry. I was surprised that attack did so well. I think Hirmu's lurkers were a little bit late, and then just letting the Protoss up the ramp into this position to get the storms here in this corner, I think just turned that. Like, you really shouldn't let Protoss storm your rally, because that's going to be way too effective.
Yeah, like I think Zerg was in a good position before that. He definitely could have done better in that engagement and that attack, but I think just the fact that Khrane took the engagement so well just gave him the advantage that he needed to run over the Zerg, kill the base, take the game.
Yeah, so nice game, and that does tie things up 1-1. Hirmu did actually take that first game despite being behind for most of it. So we are going to go to a game 3.
Yeah, excited to see it. We get to see the third map too.
The third map, the Fabled Land. I don't even remember what third map was this week.
For this week, it was Aztec.
Aztec.
3-player map. So, interesting. I think a lot of times 3-player maps can favor the Zerg, just because they could get 2 main bases while keeping Protoss onto 1 main natural base.
You generally don't have a situation where you can map split, which, you know, most of the case is a winning position for Protoss. Okay.
And there are some tricky things you can do on this map as well. We'll get into that in a bit.
Absolutely. Here on the top side of the map, we have the orange Protoss Khrane.
And then here in the bottom right, we have our yellow Zerg, Hirmu.
Were these the same colors?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Like exactly the same?
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty funny. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Guess Hirmu's just the yellow Zerg, Khrane's just the orange toss.
I guess so. We'll have to track them in the playoffs and see if they keep getting it.
Yeah. So walling on this map can be a little bit more difficult for Protoss. There's some like places that look like it might be tight, but then it's not, like against these the edges here.
The doodads. Yeah, the ling tight walls are very finicky. In spaces that just look completely impenetrable, Lings just squeeze through no problem.
We'll have to see what Khrane does for a wall. I mean, there's definitely some good walls he can make, decent walls. I think Siri made walls for this as well. You could check out that.
Yeah, I think he did every CPL map. And this is one in particular, because it's not on ladder, that I think a lot of people just don't have the experience with. And so, you know, learning the wall from every position is not something that all the Protosses have done. But you absolutely should. Like, if you're going to play the PvZ matchup and you get on a map, don't know the wall, what are you going to do? Just 2-gate?
Yeah, so it looks like Protoss was able to deny this Zerg taking the natural hatchery again. He was able to do that all 3 games. What?
Yeah,
He's setting another drone. He
he's
may
gonna
still
be a
get it.
little late and actually just gonna turn around. So he's not
Okay,
gonna go
actually,
for it.
he's actually going to get his natural this game.
Yeah. So that is the
Very
first time
nice.
that's happened. And you know, Khrane had the probe. He
Yeah,
saw the drones leave, so that was kind of a conscious choice to say, I don't care, go ahead.
yeah, for sure.
But he is gonna Nexus first here before cannon. So you know, scouting this out, reading it well, and Hirmu still hasn't. Oh no, he's got the Overlord. So he's seen the forge, so he knows what's going on.
Yeah, he can do this first overpool. It's 13 next, 13 cannon, which we do see he should be fine. Not going to die to these Zerglings.
Yep, and only 4 Zerglings being made as well, so there's really not a lot of potential for run bys or anything like that. And both players just going to be setting themselves up to grow for a while until that mid game, that sort of PvZ still time here.
Be interesting to see if either player, in particular the Zerg, tries to take advantage of these high grounds places. Like you could throw a couple of lurkers, drop a couple of lurkers up there. The high ground I'm talking about above the naturals. A couple of lurkers up there and kill the gas, kind of deny that second gas for Protoss. Could be really painful.
Yeah, lurker drops are definitely strong on this map. As you say, the high ground can hit the natural. There's definitely potential to drop into the mains as well, depending on spawn positions. So, you know, coming into the back here, there's no guarantee that Protoss is going to build behind that mineral line, so you may just get lurkers in for free if you go for some sort of lurker drop. And so far, Hirmu has definitely a lot of builds in his toolbox. You know, we've seen the 3-hatch Hydra, we've seen the more standard 3-hatch Spire, and this game is going to be a pretty fast layer as well. So he may go for that standard, or he may just break out some weirdness and go for those more map abusing strategies.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Interestingly enough, Khrane went for the 2 cannons again on this map. You notice,
Yeah, it
like,
seems to
he
be
did
a
that the
standard.
first and, like, I think Hirmu opened overpool all 3 games, where Khrane only went 1 cannon in the second game. Well, he did add that second one a
he
little
added
bit
second.
later.
It was a little slower, yep, but
Yeah.
he did go up to second cannon fairly quickly.
Yeah, and in the first and the last game, he did get that second cannon a lot earlier. Interesting to know what his decision was behind that. Like, but it's just an extra investment early on that wasn't.
Yep, and we do have the Stargate build out from Khrane, so you know, 3-hatch layer into a Stargate. I mean, this is all. Both players are playing the standard PvZ meta, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They're both probably what they were most practiced in and most comfortable with.
Yeah, and this is do or die. We were at that 1-1
This is true.
for all the marbles, so gonna play to their strengths, and both players appear to be more macro-oriented players.
Yeah, so we are seeing the Spire coming down from Hirmu as well. So, you know, looking pretty standard on his side.
Yep.
Khrane
Khrane does have a probe out on the map, so those Zerglings have not been able to deny the scouting. So he's seen the third base, he's seen the drone count. I don't think he's been able to get back into the main base. There's 4 Zerglings here that should be able to stop that. Looks like he might try now, but I doubt he'll get in. But I don't think he needs to see too much at this point. Once you see that many drones, you know it's not going to be some crazy attack.
Just confirming, like, layered
Ooh, he
Spire
does slip
too.
through.
Okay.
And speed's finished too, so this is a little surprising, but yeah, get that full confirmation. That's really nice.
And that's basically what you want to see with the probe. If you can see that, it's really good. You know exactly where you're at. And the first Corsair, okay, it was coming across and then it kind of like turned around for a second. He is gonna get there just as the Spire's finishing. See
Yep,
if he's gonna try and kill an Overlord.
Yeah, knowing the Spire timing, you do barely have enough time to kill an Overlord, but you do have to be very careful. And he is going to go onto the main Overlord, is the one he was right next to. So if these are Scourge, which I expect they are, then he's kind of going to be in a bit of trouble here. He's also spent some time moving his Corsair instead of getting shots, so it's already down to the wire. He does get the Overlord kill, and Hirmu unfortunately does not have the Scourge rallied over there, so we get some distance. Should be able to run back in time. But you know, good awareness from both players to try to get that that early kill.
Good for Khrane keeping an eye out on that Sarah so he didn't hit and getting that Overlord kill as well. I mean, losing that first Corsair hurts quite a bit as Protoss.
Yeah, it's a really big deal just when that air threat is not there. Hirmu's going to try to get us some snipes here, and Khrane's actually kind of taunting the Scourge. That got real close.
Being a little adventurous.
But nothing happens.
I guess he's trying to like get the Scourge away from his Stargate because his cannon's a little bit late to protect it.
Yeah, I think that might have been the intention. So nice awareness, just seeing that's a possibility and making sure it's not going to happen.
Yeah, nice moves.
Yeah, decent amount of Zerglings out from Hirmu. He just runs up to check on the Zealot count, check on the cannon count, since he hasn't been over there in a little bit. And both players are getting into the macro mode. We got the 6 hatches out from Hirmu. He's got the Evo chamber. We're going to start seeing the Hydra production. And that is Khrane's cue to move out. So unlike game 2, you know, this doesn't have those 3-4 Zealots lost from the early trade. And this is a much scarier attack. I believe Hirmu will have enough to defend against this, but he doesn't quite have any units, so he really needs to get on that.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of Sunkens and Creep Colonies morphing. The Sim City's pretty good. He doesn't have any Hydras. He said he's got like 1 Hydra just sitting here.
Yeah,
but these Zealots are like taking their time too.
The unit count is actually surprisingly low. I think he's over-droned. His main, his natural are quite saturated. 3 colonies should be enough to defend this with unit reinforcements. But it's slightly scary because the Zealots can do some damage still. They are just going to pull back though, so that's nice. And meanwhile, the Corsairs have been active on the other side of the map, getting a bunch of Overlord kills. That Overlord will put Hirmu in the red, but it just barely survives.
Oh, 6 health. I would have liked to see Khrane go and snipe that real quick, but alright. You can still like try and poke around with these Corsairs, get some kills here and there maybe.
Yeah,
scout around because there's a couple Overlords out on the map you could go and kill.
And finally gets that Overlord. Just keeping your Corsairs alive is definitely more important than getting a single Overlord kill. So I like that he is being a little more conservative with them. And Hirmu is put into the red with that, so he is not going to be able to produce units for a little bit here. And that's going to give Khrane a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, we can see him throwing down a bunch of his gateways. He's got +2 on the way, so it looks like he's gearing up for that big Dragoon mass again.
Yeah, Hirmu being active with a pair of Scourge, see if you can catch out a newly popped Corsair, but Corsair production is stopped. Khrane has his 6 and he's content with that to just run around the map. Scattered out this drone moving up, so he knows that expansion is going to be on the way. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him gear up for an attack there. Khrane's generally play pretty aggressively. 2 Corsairs get a little distracted and go down. So that is a nice win for Hirmu.
Bit unfortunate losing those Airs, but he's still got 4 he can move around the map, scout with, pick off any stray Overlords.
And we are up to 3 evolution chambers out from Hirmu. No Queen's Nest either, so this is going to be just a big, beefy lair tech army. Also, he has a drone poised to take another base, so I think he is planning to just fight toe-to-toe with Khrane's army at this lair stage while he takes the other main.
Meanwhile, it looks like Khrane's gearing up to take his 3rd here. Throwing down that Nexus, positioning his army here above the ramp, so it's going to be hard for Hirmu to try and attack up the ramp into this.
Yeah, there's no way he can actually make a stack. If he gets some of these Templar snipes, it would be nice. So this Templar versus Hydra little mini game is really important. Some of these storms could be absolutely money, but with the amount of storms, high ground, and that many Zealots, I really don't think Hirmu's going to get anything done. He is going around, but that's not a path. You can't go that way.
Please, just let me jump it. No,
so I think he's just got to pull this back. Like, there's no reason to be overly aggressive. Like, just secure your own base, make sure you got your upgrades going, and then just call it a wash. Fighting a losing battle is not a good choice.
He just started that 4th hatchery now. He had that drone over for a while, so I don't know if he was planning to take it sooner and changed his mind, or he just forgot about it or something, but it is finally started and up and running. He does have a good number of units here, and Khrane's pushing down into this Hydra force again.
Yeah, he's got a good concave and split. He needs to be careful that the Hydras don't clump up for those money storms, but if he controls this like he did game 2 in that one fight that he absolutely crushed, I think he has a good chance of coming winning this fight as long as these guys are on low ground. You're not going to be able to push over a ramp. But here, it's very possible to win.
And he does have some lurkers out now. I don't see the first observer. I don't think it's out yet. He does have the observatory and the Rumble with building obs at the moment, but he doesn't have any yet. Okay, he's actually just going to use the lurkers to defend. Never mind. I thought he was bringing them down.
Yeah, one thing
should meet up in time.
I'm really scared of is that's a lot of energy on those Templar. I mean, there are so many storms with this army. Hirmu's been looking for snipes, but Khrane's been doing such a good job keeping his ball tight that he really hasn't given him the opportunity. If Hirmu can kill a few of these Templar off before they get the storms, then he's going to be able to take this fight no problem. But if every single one of those storms hits, then it's probably not going to go that way.
Yeah, each one of those Templars has 2 storms. Using 2 there, he did get a couple of Hydras, not the greatest storms, but it does push him back. And he is catching this group of Hydra out just kind of in the middle of the map here.
Yeah, I mean, these Hydras are poised to try to slightly defend this 4th base and also threaten those Templar snipes. So I like that Hirmu has them, but he lost a lot in just getting Zealot hits. And meanwhile, Khrane's just been growing and growing. He's almost got a maxed army here. He still has a ton of storms, and I'm a little worried that that Hirmu's actually going to get broken here.
Well, he doesn't have any obs with this army.
Oh, there's no obs.
And Hirmu's looking for them with the Scourge, but Khrane now,
But they're not there.
Is now realizing, oh, there's no obs. So he's going to get turned back for now, hold off. Which is going to buy Hirmu more time to get some more units out. The obs are joining up with the army now.
Oh, what a
okay,
money
nice
storm. That was big.
Yeah,
that obs delay is big. And actually, yeah, the High Templar snipes are starting to come down here. Some Zerglings coming to make that happen. But that was so many Zealots just dying for free. And that just gave Hirmu that much more time to get a couple rounds of units out. Actually coming in with Zealots first, so, you know, trading these Zealots early.
He got both obs.
He got both obs as well. Hirmu's controlling this really nicely, so he is actually quite safe. And in both locations, because all of the pressure has been down here, and Hirmu's been able to survive with just the reinforcements on this side. The units that he has up in the 4th base haven't had to move at all. So he's looking to be in a really strong position. He can just expand behind this, get his Nidus going, and that's going to be a really quick, like, what is that? Going to be 5 bases to 3.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if Khrane had had that obs with that army sooner, I think he could have broken this position. But now, having that late obs, throwing away too many units there, like Hirmu's just able to outgrow him. He's gonna be able to take his 5th. He's sending a drone down there now, and just out macro him and just be able to run him. We do see Khrane trying to take his 4th. I mean, he does need to get another base.
Yeah,
his army's in a good position to hold it.
This is a great base to take and a good time to take it for sure. His macro's slipping a little bit. He's starting to float some money, and he needs to get that under control because, you know, Zerg is growing, and you're not going to be able to stop it with 2,000 in the bank. So he's starting to bring that down now, but this is kind of a timing that he's missing. Like, if that was all Zealots, he'd have 200, and he might be able to make some pressure somewhere. But you know, there's couple of seconds, 30 seconds to a minute of production from Zerg really changes the fight. And we also have Hive Tech on the way here. What is this? Defiler Mound is coming. So once those Defilers are up, once Crack is upgraded for the Zerglings, you know, this is totally different. I think the only saving grace is that Hirmu does not have saturation at this 4th base yet.
Zerg is doing decent with their upgrades too. He is 2 attack on the Hydras. He is only 1 carapace, so Zealots will still kill those Zerglings in 2 hits. But he's 1-1 on the Zerglings, 2-1 on the Hydras. And he's only using 2 Azeo chambers right now. But I mean, as soon as that upgrade's done, he's going to be in a really strong position with this army. He's just continuing to amass units. He's getting more and more Hydras and Zerglings.
So also the Defiler bound timing was really good in terms of getting that pretty close to when the hive was finished. If you're going for this strategy, we're kind of splitting the map. I really would love to see a Nidus, because, you know, if Khrane really goes all in on one base, you don't want to be in a position where he breaks that before your reinforcements can get there. I think the Nidus is absolutely integral. And Hirmu is going to counterattack. There's not a lot here. It's 4 cannons and 1 Zealot. And it looks like Khrane's going to just base trade this, but I really don't think this is a good choice.
No, he's going to lose a lot of Zealots to these Lurkers here. He's going to lose his base. Decent storms. Oh, but he killed one of his own obs there.
Yeah, like each base for Protoss is way more important right now than a base for Zerg, and he's not even
He
gonna
has
get
no
it.
obs. Yeah, he has no obs left. There is only one lurker left, but he doesn't know. He's gonna have to back up here.
But
He's
even
just
if he
losing
killed that
all.
lurker, and even if he had obs, I mean, he lost
Yeah.
all of the zealots very inefficiently, and now cracklings are on top of the goons. So this army is just absolutely destroyed, and now Hirmu, I think for maybe the first time this series, just had a supply lead for a moment there.
Yeah, and
there's
we're gonna actually
GG.
see Khrane. Yeah, I mean, Khrane just lost his fourth. Hirmu was getting up to 5 bases, just destroyed Khrane's army.
Wow, yeah, that I think that was a critical mistake having that army that far out of position and then going for that base trade rather than just defending. Like, if Zerg has that many bases, has access to the other main, and you lose your fourth base as Protoss, you're still going to be down bases. You can't just trade one for one. And if you lose your army, like we just saw, that's pretty much game over because Zerg is just going to grow way too much than you can handle. So I think that's a critical mistake there, and that's going to lose the series. So Hirmu actually takes it 2-1.
Yeah, very nice games by both players, though.
Very nice games, really close matches, and I think honestly it probably should have gone 2-1 for Khrane. I think he just GG'd a little too early in game number 1.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna win that one.